In a quiet Iowa town in 1912, 8 people were murdered in their sleep. The weapon, an axe. The killer never found. Over a century later, their house still stands, and some say the screams never left. This is the true story of the Villisca Axe Murders, a night of horror that turned an ordinary farmhouse into America's most haunted home. Villisca, Iowa, a small, peaceful town of just 2,000 people. Neighbors left doors unlocked, and everyone knew everyone. The Moore family were among the town's most respected: Josiah Moore, his wife Sarah, and their 4 children Herman, Catherine, Boyd, and Paul. On Sunday, June 9, 1912, the Moores attended a local church event, a Children's Day program. 2 neighbor girls, Lena and Ina Stillinger, joined them for the evening, planning to spend the night at the Moore home. No one knew it would be their last night alive. After returning home around 10 p.m., the Moores blew out the lanterns and went to bed. The town of Villisca fell into a deep summer quiet. But sometime after midnight, a stranger entered the house. The front door was unlocked, as was common back then, carried an axe from the family's own woodshed. The killer moved through the house methodically, starting in the parents' room. Josiah Moore was struck first, the blade splitting his skull in a single blow. Sarah was next. Both were hit dozens of times with such force, the ceiling bore marks of the axe. Then he crept into the children's room. 4 small bodies, gone in silence. The Stillinger sisters in the guest room were last. The killer lingered there longer. Investigators believed he returned twice to look at their faces. When the bodies were found the next morning, the scene was beyond comprehension. Every mirror in the house had been covered with cloth or clothing. The killer had placed a 4-pound slab of bacon beside one body and a bowl of bloody water on the table, as if he de-washed his hands. All victims' faces were covered with sheets. The axe was left in the guest room, still coated with blood. Doctors estimated the murders took place between midnight and 2 a.m. But not a single neighbor heard a scream. At 7:30 a.m., Mary Peckham, the Moore's neighbor, noticed something strange. No one had come out to do chores. She knocked on the door. No answer. She called Josiah's brother, Ross Moore. When he entered the house, he found 2 bodies on the bed and whispered, "Something terrible has happened." The town marshal arrived minutes later, but within hours, the home was overrun by curious neighbors. They trampled evidence, touched objects, even took souvenirs from the crime scene. With no witnesses and a contaminated crime scene, investigators struggled. But several suspects emerged, each more bizarre than the last. First was Frank Jones, Josiah's former employer. The two had a bitter business rivalry, and rumors claimed Josiah had an affair with Jones's daughter-in-law. Then came William Mansfield, a man accused of murdering his own family with an axe years later, though he had an alibi. And finally, Reverend George Kelly, an eccentric traveling preacher who'd attended the same church program that night. He left town on an early train and later confessed to the murders, only to recant. No one was ever convicted. The Villisca murders shook America. The town was consumed by fear. People began locking their doors for the first time. Reporters flooded the streets, and whispers spread that the killer had been a drifter or something far worse. Some residents claimed to see shadowy figures moving through the Moore house at night. Others swore they heard children's laughter echoing from the windows long after the funerals. The Villisca Axe Murder House still stands today, preserved exactly as it was in 1912. Beds, furniture, even the axe marks in the ceiling. Visitors claim to feel unseen hands touch them, doors creak open by themselves, and children's voices whisper in the dark. One investigator said he felt someone breathing on his neck, only to find the room empty. Others hear footsteps pacing upstairs when no one's there. Paranormal teams call it one of the most active, haunted houses in America. More than a century later, the question remains, who killed the Moore family and why? Every theory, revenge, insanity, religion falls apart under scrutiny. The only certainty is the silence that followed the screams. 8 innocent lives ended in one night, but the story of Villisca never truly died. It lingers in whispers, in cold air, in the echo of an axe striking wood. Villisca, Iowa, June 10, 1912. The killer was never found. Subscribe. More real horror and true mystery documentaries every week.